What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to the Tuffy Talk live show. We are rolling. We are excited. Carson's got his memorabilia swag rocking. Got Ken's finally back in here with us on the live show. You got myself, Lade Smith here. But again, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. But if you don't, any questions, thoughts, concerns, questions that you have, make sure to throw them in the chat. And if you're watching us right now on Twitter, click the YouTube link we've just tweeted, actually. And so that way you can submit those comments as well. But anyway, we got a bit to talk about, a lot of good, some bad. So we're going to probably more than likely start with the bad first, just to knock it out, and then we'll get to the good. I mean, you got to end on a high note, right? So we'll be able to talk about the good for plenty of time, don't you worry. But with that being said, you got Michelle, coming in saying, what a game indeed. It was electric in the old barn yesterday. And, we'll definitely talk plenty about the environment. But I have a pretty bold take in terms of what we witnessed yesterday. And if you want to hear my bold take, make sure to stick around, as I don't think it's actually really that bold. But for some people, and especially probably the historians who watch this, they might think otherwise. But yes, TJ Plays says it. What's going on with baseball? And I mean, I think that's pretty much the key, the cream of the crop when it comes to the bad. And Carson, I just want to just ask you plainly, man, is there anything good we can say about baseball right now? Like, give me some. I don't think. Give me some positivity. Something.
The hitting is at least somewhat decent. I mean, they're scoring runs. It's not like they're getting completely shut out of games, but pitching and fielding definitely has shown concern right now.
Yeah, no, to say the least. I mean, especially because, again, I mean, just huge head scratchers coming out this weekend. And first of all, everybody throw prayers for sure for Greg and Michael, who traveled to go watch all three of those nauseating games this weekend. But I mean, you say that, Carson, but we only scored a combined 6 runs between those 3 games. We lost to Ohio State 8-3, lost to Alabama 4-0, lost to Coastal Carolina 10-3, and so so we lost every single one of those games by 4 runs or more. So I hear what you're saying. Yes, that like at least we did something, but I mean, the problem definitely wasn't just the hitting. Like, it's not like we lost the game 2-0 or 3-1 or something like that. I get that part for sure, but still, a combined 6 runs, in between 3 games, that's not what you want for sure.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, Seth said, I mean, hard to win when you don't throw strikes and can't score. Yeah, I mean, definitely we'll talk about the pitching for sure. And Children saying, glad I didn't pay to watch the baseball games. I did waste a lot of time listening to the Varsity app. Yeah, because I saw D1 Baseball was actually having some problems streaming the Ohio State game, if I'm not mistaken, because of maintenance issues. Is that correct? Any of y'all or anybody watching get any issues besides the Ohio State game into the Bama game and Coastal Carolina game as well?
No.
Carson, Kansas, as far as you know, as far as what you know or heard?
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, and TJ saying can't have guys coming in from the pen just walking them immediately. I mean, let's talk a little bit here. Kind of breakdown. So for the Ohio State game, so Dom Fritton came in, started the game, pitched 4 2/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and gave up 1 earned run, walked 6 different batters and only had 4 strikeouts. So definitely not what you want to see there from, your basically Friday starter with only 4 strikeouts compared to 6 walks. And then you saw Jackson Lucas come in, Andrew Schaffner come in. Lucas did decent. I say that he gave up a run in his 2 innings of work. Only 1 hit though. 3 strikeouts. So yeah, not really much there. But then go to the Bama game. I mean, here, first of all, let me just, before I even skip to the Bama game, let's talk a little bit more about the hitting actually. So once again, I mean, Alex Sosa 1 for 5 hitting. I mean, Carson, I mean, are you hitting the concern button at all for Alex Sosa early in the season? Because I know that at least from what Elliot Avent said after the Liberty game post game, he just kind of gave a hint as if Sosa was trying to do too much. Like, do you kind of get that hint here for Sosa that it's just a matter of him settling in a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that's the main matter. I mean, I interviewed Coach Avent after who did we play first weekend? Was it Fordham? It was
Fordham.
opening day, the doubleheader.
Yep.
And he said that, like, I think first 2 or 3 weeks or month, like his main concern is getting the pitching and the fielding right, and then he focuses on trying to get hitting right. And I mean, I think Sosa has been struggling, but I'm not going to raise that concern button too high just because it is a gradual process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. But Kens, I mean, kind of looking, I mean, would you say that there was one game in particular between Ohio State, Alabama, and Coastal Carolina that frustrates you the most, or would you say it's kind of even across the board?
It's honestly even across the board. Listening to it and then looking at the updates and stuff, I keep trying to tell myself it's just baseball just started. You're not going to win the championship in February, which is what I saw on Twitter. Like, plenty of baseball to be played, but I just really thought that it was going to be a better start than what it is. And I think that's the life of a State fan. Like, our pre-season hopes for any sport is not what turns out to be. And I'm hoping that doesn't last long. But I think it's just we have a lot of new guys, hopefully just trying to figure out who gels together, who doesn't. Hoping it's just a little rough start. But this weekend, I feel like Avent's going to make sure that doesn't happen again. Going 0-3 is not something you want to do.
No. Yeah, well, and I mean, it's definitely. I mean, first of all, I definitely got to apologize. I think NC State football owes NC State baseball an apology, because it's obvious that there's a huge trickle down effect with how this athletic season has gone.
Yeah.
Where just there's some kind of bug going through the athletic department this season. Last year there was a bug, but it was a golden treasure bug that just everybody was striking gold. Every single sport, everybody was striking gold.
And they all peaked at the end of the season.
Right. That's a great point. And I mean, and again, it can still happen for this team. I mean, especially, looking at Jacob Dudan, for example, who that's honestly the biggest head scratcher is, I mean, once again, he gets his third appearance of the season against Coastal Carolina through one inning, gave up one hit, one earned run, 2 walks, no strikeouts. And so again, just, he's not anywhere near it. And then obviously you're a little bit concerned with, it seems like there's some issues going on with D-Rock as well. So again, just this can turn around, and especially just like you were saying, Cans, with baseball, it's just like you said, the championship's not won in February, the championship's won in May. And so, just got to get some things going, especially before ACC play. That's the beautiful thing right now about baseball and the ACC, is that ACC is stacked in baseball. There's plenty of opportunities to get some great wins throughout the season. So, but especially too, Carson, I mean, one thing I noticed looking at the box score for Coastal Carolina is that it seems like Coastal Carolina game was, I don't know. I don't know if it was, designed to be this way before the game started, or if Avent decided this after the game started. But it kind of seemed like that the game quickly shifted to being honestly a tryout once again, where it's like, hey, let's go through a bunch of different guys and give them some at bats and see if some other guys can step up a little bit, because I mean, I think I saw a combined like 14 or 15 guys had an at bat again in the Coastal Carolina game.
I mean, that was just probably Avent saying, hey, you guys, all you starters, you need to step up and start being better.
Yep. Nope, absolutely. So I think that's pretty much all it comes down to. But Ken's, any other final thoughts regarding this weekend? I mean, hopefully, what we can talk about, hopefully, come a month or two from now, we can talk about this weekend as being just a, ball it up and throw it away kind of deal. So
I mean, I don't really have anything super positive to say about it, but so I'm just gonna not say anything.
That's right.
I don't think it's gonna be like this all season. I think we'll be fine. State
Yep.
fans, we've just been through a lot with football and basketball, so I think everybody was looking at baseball to really bring our hopes and our like goals back up, and it's just not started out like that. So just feel like everybody needs to calm down and just trust the process.
Yep. No, 100%. Just trust, give it some time. We're still insanely early in the season. We're only really a full week and some change into the season. So we're still very, very early, y'all. So
Now if we're like this in a month, then
oh heck yeah.
no,
No, we're
start
shoot.
worrying a little bit.
Shoot, well, especially here coming up. I mean, looking at the schedule coming up here, so you got Richmond, another midweek game here tomorrow afternoon, and then you got a 3-weekend series against Canisius, and then you go to UNCG, then you have midweek against Campbell, which can never sleep over Campbell. You got a weekend series against Wright State. Eight North Carolina A&T in a midweek game, and then you start ACC play. So, I mean, if there's a time to get some things figured out against some solid opponents, but not, anybody that is, going to be in the top 25 or anything like that. So an opportunity to kind of get your legs moving. This is the time to do it. So let's lock in that batting order. Let's get whatever's going on with Dudan. Let's get that figured out. Get him back to his GOAT self. Hopefully get D-Rock back ASAP. Just hit the reset button. Like not necessarily hit the panic button. Just hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Just
start over.
Run it back.
Yeah.
Just run it back. That's all you gotta do. And teacher saying, I fully believe baseball will figure it out. Just wasn't expecting that bad of a week. Yeah, no, I mean, I know Greg and his wife are flying back actually from Florida back home tonight, which is why he's not able to join us tonight. But next week we'll definitely get his thoughts and hopefully in a more positive light after hopefully a 4-0 week coming up here for instant baseball. Now the other bad, and and you may say, Leighton, what do you mean bad? What do you mean beating Wake Forest is bad? And I'm saying, you know why it's bad? Because what the frick has he's been doing keeping Paul McNeil on the bench this whole season?
That all season. It genuinely pisses me off. Like that's what really grinds my gears.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, the in-state baseball season, but definitely
what really grinds my gears?
Keeping Paul McNeil on the daggone bench.
Really grinds my gears.
Paul McNeil on the bench. So I didn't mean to hit it twice, but I mean, I guess it deserves.
I mean, it works. So, I mean, it adds to it. It's just now when I think about it, I'm like, out of those 9 games that we lost by 1 or 2 points, if we'd have had him in, how different would this season have been? And just thinking about that makes me want to fight Kevin, honestly. It drives me insane.
Well, and again, I get it. There's growth pains for sure. I get it. But especially, I mean, again, just it's not like the guard play has been that spectacular this season or even decent enough where it was just hard to find opportunities for Paul to get in. Like, I mean, besides, I mean, Marcus Hill, I mean, everybody, I mean, Jaden Taylor's been okay.
Inconsistent. Inconsistent. No one's been a consistent ball player this entire season. Like Marcus Hill started consistent, and then after that Carolina game, it's just like he just, I don't know, took a step down. But it's like every time Paul has been in the game, we've come back up from like an 8-point deficit, coming back to within 1, and then he takes him out, and then we go back down like 8 again. So it just doesn't make sense to me. But maybe we'll somehow get in the ACC tournament and do the same thing we did last year. Don't have Paul sit on the bench anymore this entire season.
And Sheldon says, I think McNeil is doing a little bit too much partying. And listen, I mean, I get it for sure. Again, and that is the biggest thing I say over and over again to everybody, especially being a former equipment staff, student member, is that no fan knows the real story that happens behind closed doors. So could there have been something internally going on that was holding him back? Sure. But I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, with how this season's gone, again, like just give him something. I'm not saying that you need to, make him a starter and give him all this and all that. But at the end of the day, I mean, if the guy balls, the guy balls. And then right now we need ballers. Right now we need players. Especially getting our teeth kicked in by Carolina. Like and in a rivalry game, don't leave any card unturned. And I think Paul maybe only saw 2 or 3 minutes that entire game. I don't know. I just don't know how we couldn't work him into the rotation a little bit more way earlier than this. Way early. I mean, he started against Wake Forest. He started.
In the one game that he started, we beat an ACC team, a bubble team, by the way, by 12 points.
Yeah.
We probably just ruined Wake's chances of making the tournament.
Which honestly is the win for this season if we don't do anything. Like, I just love seeing Wake Forest fans sad. Like, it just makes me happy.
Yeah. But I mean, he only played 28 minutes. He was 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 4 from 4 from the free throw line. On top of 3 assists and a steal for a combined 24 points. Led the team this past weekend. So again, I mean, that's definitely my hope, and especially this offseason, is that from an NIL perspective, you got to go pretty hardcore and trying to keep Paul around. He's going to get some offers, some pretty big offers this offseason probably. So
you got to keep both I would say all 3 of our freshmen. I would like to keep all of them because, I mean, Bryce is a good defender. He plays good when he gets put in. Trey has his games where he falls out. I just feel like we could really use all 3 of them next season because of everybody leaving.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, I mean, Ben Middlebrooks at least finally showed some light. Now, 10 points, 7 rebounds isn't necessarily something to go crazy about, but I'm glad that Ben Middlebrooks at least improved from his 0-2 points that he's given us over the last few weeks. So glad to see that. But then Dontrez Styles, man, once again shows what he can be. But once again, the problem with almost most of these players is that what they can be is very good, but what they consistently have been is furthest thing from great for sure. So, but hey, NCAS needs at best. The Final Four run starts now.
I mean, all we got to do is win 15 straight games, right? Is it 15 still?
We'll need Cal. I think we'll need Cal to lose one, or we'll need Cal to lose out at least. Yeah, because they beat us twice.
Well, because we're still on the outside looking in terms of making the ACC tournament, even, right?
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Okay.
It's all part of the plan, right?
Yeah, it makes it more interesting. It's going to add to the story.
All part of the plan. Yeah. Yeah, because right now Cal and Syracuse are tied at 5-11 in the ACC, and we're 4-12. So
we can get the tiebreaker against Syracuse, but we'll need at least one game over Cal since they swept us.
Who else does Cal play for the rest of the season?
They play SMU at home, which so that could be a win for SMU. Because SMU's 20-7 right now, which is crazy. And then they host Boston College. They go to number 19 Louisville, and then they go to Notre Dame.
Okay, so I mean,
we'll see. There's a chance.
There's a chance, but we have to stop losing too.
Now, well, because I mean, this honestly for me, this game on Wednesday is huge. Yeah. Probably one of the biggest of the season, and sadly. It shouldn't be this big, but it actually is that big. Going to Syracuse on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Just like you said, Carson, a team that's also competing for a spot in the ACC tournament. So, yeah, no, definitely. But then going to Georgia Tech, hosting Pitt, and then going to Miami. So, definitely not the worst schedule for sure coming up here. Opportunity there, but definitely need Paul McNeil to continue to be Paul McNeil. And just like Chill is saying right there too, I mean, need even a guy like Trey Parker to get back rolling once again. Only saw 5 minutes against Wake Forest. Didn't even attempt a single field goal. So, I mean, definitely just just hope that we can find some consistency, in the rotation, get Marcus Hill back going a little bit. I mean, this was a guy that was giving you 15 to 20 points a game. And this week he played 22 minutes, was 3 for 6, gave you 9 points. So, I mean, for, what he shot, he wasn't bad for sure. I mean, we definitely rode the hot hand, which is one thing I'll give props to Keats, and the team is that they said they figured out Dontrez and Paul were feeling it. Let's get the ball to them, and it worked. So definitely was not expecting this win, but a solid win for sure. But again, what the fact that we couldn't find something for Paul McNeil much earlier than this.
It took us until like the week before March to figure out Paul McNeil. He was number 1 in the state for a reason, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's like with
that.
It's like how last year it took us forever to figure out that Mo Diarra was the rebound guy. Like,
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And he's killing it overseas right now, which makes me even more sad because I keep seeing highlights of him on Twitter, and I'm like, what could have been if he'd have just stayed? Makes me sad.
True. Now, Carson, help me once again. So, how many teams get left out of the AC tournaments? 4, right?
3.
That was 3.
3.
That way it's still a 15-team tournament, so the format doesn't change.
Gotcha. So I mean, like Chilton does make a good point where basically if we beat Syracuse, then we would be tied with them in the AC record, but then we would get the tiebreaker over them, correct?
Over Syracuse, but not Cal.
Yeah.
Correct.
Cal.
So, okay. So basically, really it's down to, yeah. I mean, it's basically Chilton, unfortunately. So I mean, we wouldn't knock out Syracuse is what they were asking. We wouldn't knock out Syracuse by winning on Wednesday, correct? Necessarily. Not yet.
Not on Wednesday, no.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. Just because, I mean, it's crazy, but there still are 4 games left to be played for most ACC schools, which is crazy. It seems like we're pretty much there, but we still got 4 more games to play. Crazy enough. Now, don't worry, MK Sneed. We'll jump to women's basketball here, and we'll talk about Mr. Westmore here to start. But, yeah. So again, just take care of Syracuse. That's a big game coming up here Wednesday night, 7 p.m. at Syracuse, which would really help our NCAA tournament resume. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's still just a huge. Now
Carolina is still in the bubble. So are we. I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. It makes me mad.
Well, I saw a graphic where ESPN Analytics gave them like an 80% chance to make the tournament now. Which I mean,
don't even get me started.
If Carolina doesn't and Wake doesn't, like, how long will that have been since we've only had one Tobacco Road team make the tournament?
Yeah,
it would have been a while.
Long time. That's
a good question.
That's I can't even. I don't know if that's ever happened. Honestly, like it's just like that just seems so insane of a thought even. So but anyway though, so anything else about men's basketball, y'all, before we jump over some positives? Nope. Let's do it. So first and foremost, MK Sneed asking, how does NC State keep Wes Moore? Doesn't he get huge offers from bigger schools? I mean, let me keep it simple. I mean, Carson, how many women's basketball programs in the country have their students camp out the night before a game like this from starting at 10 p.m. Just to ensure that they get a seat, in a women's basketball game? I feel like not too many.
Probably UConn, South Carolina. That's it.
I mean,
I can see LSU maybe.
Yeah. So like the top 10 teams, like, probably the top 10 biggest women's basketball programs in the country. And we're one of those. So, I mean, when you say, when you say bigger schools, I mean, we are one of the big schools. I mean, for women's basketball, like, I'm not saying we're elite, but I'm saying we're in the top tier.
I mean, I feel that if we're not a South Carolina, but I mean,
we're not UConn, we're not South Carolina.
But I mean, we're easily maybe 5th, top 5 team. I feel like
I would say maybe from a fan base perspective, it's top 5.
Fan perspective, top 5 for sure, and we'll get to that. I think Ken's, unfortunately, you got to win a national championship to be in the top 5 in terms of overall programs. But
It's okay.
now,
We're gonna do that this year. So
well,
next year.
now you say that, but our odds are insane. We're 250 to 1 to win the national title this year, which
That's
I gotta admit, I sprinkled a little bit, not much, just a little bit, because I'm like, that just, I don't know, like we'll kind of get into it, but that's insane. I mean, think about it. I mean, UConn is plus 325, so basically a little bit more than 3 to 1 to win. We're 250 to 1 to win the national title. That's insane. So, but yeah, I mean, so how does NC State keep Wes Moore? I mean, again, whatever he gets offered from anybody else, we would offer him the same. But also too, because again, yeah, we'll hold on to him, no doubt about it. But I mean, also too, I mean, he's definitely in the twilight of his career for sure. Definitely, probably would expect within the next 2 to 3 years, probably that you'll probably start to hear some talks of him stepping down, retiring. But I mean, again, I don't hope for that for sure. I mean, again, I'm loving life with Wes Moore, definitely. And don't want him to leave until he wins a national title. But yeah, and also too, because again, I mean, just keep in mind, MK Snead as well. I mean, the connection where he was a former assistant coach underneath K.Al. So again, I mean, and he said this before. This is more than a job to him. This is his passion. Like this is his home. This is, a program that he has put his stamp in. Obviously, this program will always be highlighted by K.Al for sure. But he's been a great secondary to this, to this program for sure. Like, when you think about NC State women's basketball, he's going to be thought of for sure. Now, I mean, again, K.Al is K.Al. She's untouchable. She's the queen. Can't touch her. But Wes Moore
is perfectly fine with being second best up against
and he would perfectly himself accept that 100%, Kens, 100%. So yeah, Carson, I mean, did I kind of summarize that right in terms of potential for Wes Moore? Anything you would add to that?
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He loves NC State.
No. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, where would he even go? That'd be another question. Like, what big program is losing their coach besides maybe Gino? But I mean, would Wes Moore really leave NC State to go and be absolutely, hugely shadowed by the legacy of Gino? Like God bless that person that takes over whenever Gino retires. Like, God bless them. Seriously, like that is an impossible task.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Coach K of women's, honestly.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, but yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, first of all, so what I said before the show, Carson and Kens, that I had a pretty bold take, and I texted it to group chat some of my buds, and I mean, I still stand by it, but I think we just witnessed yesterday. And again, this is a bold take, but I don't think for me, it's that bold take. I think we witnessed the greatest basketball game to take place in Reynolds Coliseum. And you may say, whoa, that's pretty big. I mean, there's been a lot of big games there for sure. But here's my thing I would say. Like, what did it not have?
Exactly.
And I'm not talking about, and again, when I say that, I'm not saying like the greatest. Like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of the basketball game, if you look at what the basketball game had.
You're not talking about, like, the awards behind it or, like.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not talking about necessarily like it was like David Thompson, like David Thompson and blah, blah, blah versus.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm just talking about simply just the basketball game quality itself.
Oh, yeah.
It had everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it had
changes.
It had 21 lead changes, 21 ties, a buzzer-beating 3 to save the game for Notre Dame. It had 4 or 5 probably first round in their year draft picks.
Center top 10 moment with Zaza.
Yeah, no,
you had the 2 best backcourts in the country.
Oh, yes.
Easily. Well, and that's no doubt about it. That's not even a blink of an eye. Like, you had all that. You had a double overtime game. You had a battle
Oh,
of two top, the number 13 team and then the number one team in the country. You had college game day before it. Shoot, they were selling tickets for this game at like $200 to $250 a piece before the game, and like had students sleeping out ahead of time, 10 p.m. before the game.
Yeah.
And even and just like Andy's saying, even Magic Johnson said it
True.
was the best basketball game this season. So just for me, I'm sitting here saying, if I were to think about the greatest basketball games to ever happen in Reynolds Coliseum, that for me, like had absolutely everything you could want in a basketball game,
Oh,
and
yeah.
including obviously the fact that we won. I wouldn't have said that if we had lost. That's for sure.
It wouldn't have been the best. No,
It wouldn't be the best.
It was.
It would have still been a phenomenal game. But
people that talk about how the women's basketball is boring, like I don't see how you could physically watch that game yesterday and not be entertained the entire time. Like I don't know if it might be because you have 5 possible top 5 picks for the WNBA, but it was the talent on both teams was insane. Every one of our girls were hitting it. Tilda hit 2 threes. Like it was like everybody was hitting it from all cylinders, and that was a game that I don't feel like anybody could just be bored during any part of it.
Especially in double overtime when Isaiah just had that behind the back layup on Olivia Miles.
Freaking, she's a whole man player. I'm telling you, she could just come in with our guys and fit in perfectly. She's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead, Carson.
I think it's definitely the best that I've seen. I think it's best as well. Close second would probably be the Louisville game from a few years ago. We were down like 14 and then came back.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
That one was good, but this one was the best one. I went with a couple friends, and we got there at like 6:10 a.m. and the student line to get in was all the way to the Norm Sloan statue.
That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wow. Because it wraps the student door is on the side of Reynolds by
it's by Tally. It's on the Tally side.
Oh, okay. So it just came back that far. Okay.
Yeah. Like literally the doors. It was the doors, and then you had the KL statue, and then you had the Norm Sloan statue, and all the students were wrapped there. There were like 40, 50 people there at 6:10 a.m.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing as well that kind of adds to my point about it as well, was that really from many different players, but from both teams in general, you had some really great basketball being played. Like it's not like both teams were playing okay and it was just like a back and forth. Like both teams were playing really great basketball. Just like Andy was saying, talking about the 18 for 18 free throws in regulation for NC State. But again, like Hannah Hidalgo was just as good as advertised, no doubt about it. She's phenomenal. She's different. She's different. And Olivia Miles, gosh, she's a great player. Even though she did that little hamster to the student section, that definitely, pressed my button. Hey, she hit it, so good for her. Like I'll give it to her. But and Citron, what, like 22 points after in the second half and overtime from her. Then hitting the game tying 3, which was just a prayer.
I don't understand why we didn't foul there. Like I think that's what we were trying to do because we had fouls to give, break their momentum, but we just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that that this win definitely saved some rightful criticism, not to the point of like questioning him as a coach or whatever, but just Westmore, like Isaiah, tell Isaiah, please just foul her. Because especially too, like the commentators were losing their minds at the end of the fourth quarter because he ran 13 seconds off the clock, and we're like, why didn't you foul? Like, and then once again, the 3-pointer, foul them, force them to inbound the ball with 2 seconds left, So yeah, definitely a head scratcher to say the least. But once again, Carson, hey, well,
Whatever we did worked. So
it is not. It is the furthest thing from a point of emphasis in terms of a topic today for sure. But I do agree with you, Carson. I think many do that we should have fouled at some point during that final sequence in regulation. So no doubt about it.
But then it wouldn't have been an intense game. I mean, they wanted to win in 2 overtimes. They didn't want to win. They wanted to be remembered. I mean, that's how I think our girls were. They were like, we're going to win either way. So let's just make it more fun. Honestly.
Well, I just laughed about being like, yeah, we didn't want to beat them by just 3. Like, beat them by 3 is lame. We want to beat them by 9. That sounds way better.
They wanted to hit 100. That's what I think happened.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and Michelle said Wes Moore said he told them to foul. I missed that part.
That's what I heard in the post game.
I missed that, but I mean, okay. I'll take you at your word. But I mean, there's multiple different times that in that final sequence that you could have fouled, and they didn't. So I mean, again, at the end of the day, guess what? We're not going to spend too much time on it because again, we got the win. Yeah. We played great overall. So, but I mean, and because another thing, Carson, I want to add to my case as well of why it was such a great game, because it was really 5 versus 5 for the entire game. Yeah. Like it was a dogfight the entire game. I mean, just talking it here. So, the starting 5 for Notre Dame played 46 minutes, 48 minutes, 47 minutes, 44 minutes, 41 minutes. The starting lineup for NC State played 47 minutes, 43 minutes, 43 minutes, 48 minutes, 43 minutes. So it was basically 5 versus 5, unless somebody was just absolutely gasping that they, just brought somebody in for a couple minutes just to let one of the players catch their breath. I mean, that was pretty much the game.
Who else came in for us other than Zam? Did Devin come in a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, she came in for 3 minutes, and then a woo came in.
Yeah,
a woo came in. Which that's another thing too, and like I've said, hey, Carson, I'm gonna hold you too, man. I've said for weeks now, man, that I am a Tilda Trigger fan, and I am standing on that mountaintop right now and saying, hey, I told you, believe in Tilda, give her the minutes, give her opportunities to develop, and she will make you look good for it. And man, did she make you look good for it on Sunday. 8 for 9 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, 19 points, 9 rebounds. Like chef's kiss, like gorgeous. Killed it. And again, and I got to give props to Lorena as well, Awu as well. I mean, only played 7 minutes, but got you 2 points, 3 huge offensive rebounds. Like Tilda and Lorena are going to give you a great 1-2 punch for this postseason here, for sure. And I hope that this is confirmation that Wes Moore 100% agrees with that statement. Kansas. I mean, maybe you might see Mallory come in potentially, but I don't know why. Like, what does she give you that Lorena or Tilda don't give you? That's my thing. Unless you're getting crazy foul trouble, or unless from a matchup perspective, you need a bigger, lineup. You need, like two bigs on the court at one time. I would get that, but I don't think you're really going to necessarily need that much, especially in the ACC this year. But we'll see. But I think Tilda and Lorena, you can sleep very well, at least confidently that they'll give you what you need to make these 4 guards look as great as possible in the postseason. I mean, Carson, would you agree with that? Or do you think that Mallory could fit in a little bit more into this rotation than Lorena or Tilda could give you?
Yeah, I think Mallory needs a little more time to develop. Tilda, she is a sophomore and Tilda's a freshman, so ideally you would want to give the older players priority, but you also want to do what's best for the team. And Tilda's been great. I think she's been getting better every game. And so I would keep her in for now.
Yeah. Now I do want to bring up Tracy's comment here, which is an interesting thought that her friend Mike brought up that if they had fouled and prevented overtime, the gentleman that had the medical emergency may have been driving home when it happened. Now, Carson, do you know much about what happened with this medical emergency?
Yeah, I do not. It was just a lot of people that saw it. But at the end of regulation, the student section is on the Cates Avenue end zone side, and to my right, like as soon as regulation ended, a bunch of people looked. My friend Cameron, she pointed it out to me, but I mean, it was before security was there, and then they were just doing CPR. And then about 5 minutes later, they had actual security guys come in. They were doing CPR. They had the machines. They got a stretcher. They were there for like 10 minutes before they carted him out, and it was scary. It looked like, from my angle, it looked like cardiac arrest because
Yeah, that's what everybody was posting on Twitter, like Pack Pride and stuff said that it was a cardiac arrest event. They said that there was a pulse when they put him on the stretcher. So hopefully, I mean, that's true. And I haven't seen any updates today about it, but hopefully soon.
Yeah. Mad respect to the Notre Dame players as well, because
yeah.
as that was going on, they were in a huddle praying for like 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, definitely prayers for sure for that gentleman and his family for sure, and definitely hope for a speedy recovery and hope that all is well for sure. But yeah, definitely. I mean, interesting point there, Tracy, for sure, is it probably wouldn't have been noticed as quickly for sure. And again, don't really know too much of the backstory behind it, but just again, prayers there for sure, and hope, just like you were saying, Ken's, at least the pulse was at least got to that point where we got a pulse when we put him on the stretcher, so that's good. So,
and the family, and when he is okay, not if, but when, he's going to be telling people, I told you, like I knew State was going to give me a heart attack at some point. I mean, that's how it is. I understand completely. Like, we all joke about it, but I mean, I can't imagine like sitting at a game and having that happen. But I mean, I'm sure that that's going to be a little inside joke for that family whenever he gets out of the hospital, or probably already is. But
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, but again, definitely send some prayers over that way, y'all, for sure.
I'm sure he was happy with the win too. So
100%.
A good get well gift from the girls.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I loved, and also too, I got to give a shout out. I loved Sanaya's video she posted on Instagram of her giving the students some love for sure. Again, just like you were saying, Carson, and Ken's, before, once we kind of got jumped into this about how this is one of the strongest fan bases in women's basketball, and that's why I'm telling y'all, like, I am so excited for the ACC tournament next week. It's not even funny. Like, it's gonna be phenomenal.
I don't know if y'all saw this on the broadcast, but the College Game Day people, the hosts, after the game was over, they came to the student section and were like, "Yeah, we're coming back next year. This atmosphere is incredible."
I mean, I don't think you can beat it. I really don't. I think it's one of the top in the country. And I mean, that might be a biased statement, but I mean, and it's not even the fans. It's like the connection that those girls have. Like, you saw a lot of them go into the student section right after the game. Like, Sanaya stayed after.
Pretty much they all did.
Like, everybody courtside. Like, those girls love the fans and the fans love them. And that's not really something you see in a lot of teams and fan bases across the country. So I feel like the connection between those two makes the atmosphere an even crazier place.
Yeah, and you don't just love them as players, you love them as people.
Yeah. Amen. Well, now the other thing too, though, which I caught, well, first of all, I mean, Carson, like, as if College Game Day is insinuating as if they didn't know that this was a phenomenal environment. Like it's very well known. Like I'm telling you, like just go ahead and write down Reynolds as one of the top 3, if not the toughest place to play in all of women's college basketball. Like, I mean, I don't know how it gets much tougher, honestly. I don't know who is tougher. And that's one thing that kind of bugged me, even when they were interviewing the Notre Dame women's basketball coach before the game, where they asked her, like, how are you going to deal with this environment? And she was like, well, we play in a lot of tough environments this year. And I screamed at the TV, but not like this. Not like this. You haven't.
No.
You haven't played anything like this all season, guaranteed. Yes, you went to Southern Cal, but this ain't Reynolds Coliseum.
Yeah, exactly.
So
We're small.
I would say top 3 in the country for women are State, South Carolina, and UConn.
Oh, definitely.
yeah, but I mean, the one thing I would say about both of those is that the thing that plays so well, like it's a reason why Cameron Indoor is so tough to play in, is the
Yeah.
fact that it's literally built on top of like it's literally just like a little bubble filled with screaming fans at the top of their lungs, like on top of the basketball court. Like it's built for noise. Like
I think
it's
that if we
yeah.
could have somehow get a bigger student section as well as having like older people be able to go to the games in Reynolds, it would be deafening. I really do. Because I mean, the
Yeah.
student section isn't as big as you would hope, but I mean, even with how small it is, it's still a deafening place to play. Like in the NIT a couple years ago when I was like first at State, we left the Harvard game and couldn't hear. And I'm like, we just played freaking Harvard in the NIT and like my ears hurt. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just picture David Thompson and Derek Wittenberg watching that game and just thinking to themselves, they need to put the men back in Reynolds immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know those conversations are going to come for sure. So, and we can have those conversations till we're blue in the face, but it's going to take a lot for that to happen. A lot for that ever to even be considered. So, but yeah, I mean, and definitely, not hating for sure, but it's just like there's no doubt that we're respected in terms of being a tough environment, but it needs to be regularly considered one of the toughest places to play in all of women's college basketball. What color is the sky? Blue. What color is grass? Green. What color is the sun? Yellow. What's one of the toughest places to play in all of women's college basketball? Reynolds Coliseum. Like, it should just be that simple. Just rolls off the tongue. Like, not even a thought kind of deal. That's my biggest thing, where it's just like you were saying, Carson, with the college game day, like it. Like, don't stop acting like you're surprised. It's exactly what you're going to get every single time you come to Reynolds Coliseum. You're going to get a very tough place to play. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So, now, I do want to give Tilda a little bit more props where she did. Michelle points out here in the chat that Tilda won ACC Freshman of the Week, rightfully so. No shocker there. Also, got to give a shout out as well, Sanaya Rivers, 1 assist away from a triple double, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, I think 13 points. Solid game for her as well. Really the biggest thing I say is that in my opinion, this was the definition of a team win. I mean, every single player in the starting 5, gave a lot for this game. I mean, Zoe
They all
Brooks
had
will
moments to help save the game at multiple points.
Yep. I mean, Madison Hayes, even though it wasn't necessarily her best game in terms of shooting, 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, she hit 4 clutch free throws. Clutch. And this was after Zoe Brooks went on a crazy stretch of free throws. So you're saying, I was always saying, yeah, she's 80% from the year, but like after Zoe just hit 16 in a row, like, or whatever, like however many she hit in a row, like the law of averages, unfortunately, is probably going to hit for Madison Hayes, and it didn't. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Crazy.
I feel like Zoe turned into like a miniature Kobe. Like,
Yes,
because
Zoe
Kobe did not miss free throws, and Zoe did not miss free throws yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, and Kens, I want to say this. Like, when Zamaria Jones started off the season really, on fire, especially in the South Carolina game, I was quick to really deem Zamaria potentially the greatest talent that NC State basketball has ever seen. But I truly got to give Zoe Brooks all her flowers, all her praise. Like, she was insane.
The way that girl can move is insane. If she could just work on her control of the ball, she would easily be top 3 player in NC State for real. Like, she's just so talented. Like, she was there to clean up the pieces if somebody missed. She was there getting rebound. She was there playing defense against somebody that was a whole foot taller than her, basically. She was killing it yesterday. I'm very proud of her. And I've realized our team is in good hands when Sanaya and them leave because she's definitely going to take that leader role and
Mhm.
fight for it.
Well, especially since she leads, I think she leads the team with assists right now. So
Yeah.
she knows how to get everyone involved.
Really? Even over Sanaya?
Yeah.
I think
Well,
so.
last time I checked, she led in assists.
Wow.
Hang on.
That would be shocking if true. But either way, I mean, yeah, I mean 9 for 20 from the
Yep.
field, but wow, you're right. Okay. Fair enough.
3.9.
That's crazy.
I love it. And yeah, she had 2 blocks, 1 steal, 3 assists, 10 rebounds, 3 of which were offensive rebounds as well. So got to give a shout out there. But 14 for 14 from the free throw line.
You
I'm
don't
going to
say
say that once again.
state players a lot. You don't
No,
don't
no.
say that. I mean, you're not used to that. So
Well, and again, 14 for 14 from the free throw line for Zoe Brooks. That is insanity, and especially for in a stat that the commentators pointed out that we're ranked like over 300th in the country in terms of free throw percentage.
Yeah.
Like, so and to me that kind of
Maybe that was Notre Dame's tactic
yeah,
to foul
right.
us a lot because they know we were not a good shooting team.
Well,
then
and
that kind of bit them for real.
well, no, I mean, like, on see, here's the thing: is that I honestly think that in overtime, there was one thing that was kind of plaguing each side. I think for us, the exhaustion was hitting us a little bit more late in overtime, but for them, the foul trouble was hitting them late in overtime. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Olivia Miles was basically like on defense, she was absolutely useless because she really couldn't play aggressive or even somewhat aggressive defense because she couldn't afford to get a foul, which is why even though the Isaiah James behind the back is phenomenal, and I mean it probably would have happened even if Olivia Miles didn't have 4 fouls, but I mean Olivia definitely you could tell kind of just tried, but just said, all right, it's not worth me trying. It's not worth me fouling out of the game for. So, yeah, I mean, so I mean,
as knowing what the fouls were like going into the second overtime, I knew we were going to win.
yeah, no, 100%. Well, I mean, now here's the thing, Carson. I mean, obviously, a lot of people talked about that last foul on Hannah Hidalgo, saying, was it a jump ball, whatever. But I mean,
From my angle, it definitely looked like a foul.
well,
And
because
she pulled her down. If we're really gonna look at it, I mean,
well,
tell me
especially
the world.
well, especially too because it looked like, in my opinion, and
She literally wrapped herself around her.
or wrapped around the arm, around her
Yeah.
right arm, more
Yeah.
than necessarily even the basketball. So,
And
yeah.
if we're really looking at it, she should have gotten a technical on the way out because she wasn't. You're not supposed to be, one, touch a ref, 2, argue with refs for a good 3-4 minutes. So that right there could have been a technical.
Sure, but I mean, we could talk until we're blue in the face about ACC women's basketball referees. Definitely a lot of calls that should have gone both ways yesterday, or should have gone both ways yesterday.
Know that he let the refs
Yeah.
know as they were running off the court.
Oh, well, again, I mean, Westmore was letting them have it, being like, you're not calling contact equally both ways. You are not calling it equally both ways. But
he will tell you off whether you want it to happen or not.
Yep, no, 100%. So the big question really from here is, what does this mean going forward? And we're crazy enough, and before the season, especially once our center went down, I wouldn't have thought it, but we're still in the hunt for a share of the regular season title. So which I mean is definitely possible, especially since I mean, for NC State perspective, and again, I'm NC State. Before I say this, yes, Kens, I'm an NC State fan. Yes, I know that nothing is for certain. I know that. I get it. I know it all too well, especially for this team that has been solid. But I mean, they almost blew one against Miami, like almost blew another game earlier this season. But I mean, the last 2 games of the season, you host Wake Forest here on Thursday night. Which right now ESPN Analytics gives you a 97.8% chance to win. And then you go to SMU, and honestly, the SMU one worries me much more than the Wake Forest one. where ESPN gives you a 95.5% chance to win. And these are the two teams that are at the bottom of the ACC right now. So these are two teams that, more than likely have probably checked out for the season for the most part. But so again, I'm not saying that they're guarantees, but I'm saying just somewhat handle your business. You win both these games without having to do too much. Like, it's really that simple. But now for Notre Dame,
They have
if I
Louisville.
bring, they have Louisville,
Because college game day,
and
yeah, South Bend.
they have Florida State as well left on the schedule, who's number 24 right now. So if they lose one of those games, then we're co-ACC regular season champions. Now,
Yeah.
in
Well,
terms
we'll get the 1 seed in the tournament, right?
exactly, which in my opinion is the bigger piece. Like getting the
Yeah.
number 1 seed, in my opinion, is more valuable than being co-ACC champions. In my opinion, that might be a little bit of a bold take, but for me, I'm saying, like, there's a big difference in my opinion being the 1 seed and being the 2 seed. So, but and honestly, more for the semifinals than anything, in my opinion. I think that's honestly where the biggest benefit, I think, is how you get to play the number 4 seed instead of playing the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Which
I mean,
if
we're playing the 3 seed, that's probably Carolina. Most likely. But if it's 4 or 5, that's most likely
Carson. We're not going to face UNC in the semifinals. You know Bankhart all too well.
Yeah. Courtney Bankhart cannot win in the ACC tournament.
It's impossible. Like, literally, Kens, everybody out there, I'm telling you right now, I don't know who they're going to play. I don't know what the odds are going to be for the opening game for Carolina. Just sprinkle a little bit, just a couple bucks on the money line for whoever they play against. That's all I'm saying.
Here's a stat. This is year 6 of Bankhart. She has won 1 game in the ACC tournament.
That is insane.
That's awful. It's so bad. So bad.
And I love her downfall. It makes me so happy. Like, I can't stand that woman. I'm sorry.
She is easily the most obnoxious coach at UNC.
I cannot stand her.
Oh, easily. Well, I mean, Hubert doesn't really say much of anything. Like
no.
I don't really even have an issue with him, but just besides the fact that he coaches UNC,
talk more crap than Hubert does. Like,
Hubert doesn't say squat. Hubert doesn't say squat. Which, I mean, he can't really say much, So I mean, still, like he's definitely not wanting to draw anything up. And Belichick, I mean, he's not saying anything. They're just ESPN's just foaming at the mouth, for Bill Belichick. So
Mac would try to actually calm down everything and be a nice old grandpa.
Yeah, he was trying to be the mediator between everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%. So now, in terms of where things stand, so really for seeding wise, I mean, basically we would have to lose one of the 2 games, either against Wake Forest or SMU, to even potentially get the 3 seed. Now, UNC still has to play. They have to go. Yeah, they have to play Duke and host Virginia, but they still got Duke to play here on Thursday night. Say again?
Do they go to Duke or do they host
To
Duke?
Duke.
Okay.
To Duke.
Yeah, because it's the opposite of men's.
Oh yeah, that's right. That makes sense. So yeah. So and right now, whoa, check this out. ESPN Analytics gives Duke a 77.8% chance to beat Carolina on Thursday.
That's what
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, definitely not. I mean, UNC barely squeaked out the first one, and they looked pretty suspect against Louisville. Definitely squeaked one out there against Louisville for sure, but Duke's definitely and they just squashed Syracuse. So I mean, if
Usby is still out with that ankle injury, they will not.
Oh,
they won't do much at all.
That's a good point. Which I mean, definitely prayers up for sure for healing there. Definitely don't want that. But I mean, because Duke right now is in the middle of a cluster for seeding. I mean, basically you have Notre Dame at 15-1, us at 14-2.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Carolina 13-3, and then Louisville, FSU, and Duke are all 12-4.
Yeah.
So you have 3 teams fighting for that last 4 seed, which is, again, keep in mind, if you're a 4 seed, you get basically the double bye.
Yeah.
So
out of this.
Duke is super incentivized to win this game on against Carolina on Thursday. Super incentivized.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I would not be surprised. So really, I mean, for the most part, even if again, if we win out, you get at least the 2 seed. There's a chance if Notre Dame loses one game, then we would get the 1 seed. And then, but even if we lose one game, which would probably be more likely the SMU game than the Wake Forest game, UNC would have to beat Duke and not slip against Virginia in order to get the 3 seed. So either way, we're guaranteed a top 4 seed, which is great. Love that for sure.
Yeah.
But obviously want more than that.
Yeah,
But
we want more than a 4 seed. We want
now, what did y'all think about? And let me know in the chats here real quick. What do y'all think of us moving up to number 9? Do you think that was fair? A little bit more? Not, too much? What do y'all think?
I mean, obviously, I want us
Number
to be number
1.
1 in the country.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I think we should have just switched places. No, I'm just kidding. But I think I expected it to be around then. I didn't expect us to go like any higher than 8. But I mean,
so let me kind of set the stage here a little bit. And so basically Texas moved up to number 1, UCLA number 2, Notre Dame moved down to number 3, which that's another thing. Hold on, Carson. Before I continue this, that's one thing, Carson, that was funny that the commentators kind of talked about was at the end of the game when the student section was chanting overrated to Notre Dame. And I mean, I was, and I mean, the commentators were saying like, don't you want, you're the team that you beat to be like, oh yeah, that team that we just beat is so good, and we just beat them. But I'm also sitting here saying, like, all right, Notre Dame's a top 3-4 team in the country, no doubt about it. Like us beating them doesn't change that whatsoever. They are a top 3 or 4 team in the country as long as
it's just fun to taunt them.
Oh sure, but it was just funny in my opinion because I'm like this loss doesn't really change much for them. I mean, they're still going to be a probably potentially number 1 seed still, potentially, but more likely a number 2 seed. And
I mean, losing games in Reynolds is something everyone does, so Notre Dame's not alone.
No. Yeah, no, definitely NCAA is not going to look at that and be like, oh my God, they lost to NC State at Reynolds. Like, what are they doing? They suck. Like, like no, nobody in NCAA is going to think that. So, yeah, them moving down number 3, completely understandable. USC at number 4, UConn 5, South Carolina 6, LSU 7, all that stayed the same. And then Carolina went up 1 spot to number 8, and then we're at number 9. So I mean, I think it's pretty fair. I don't really have an issue with it. I mean, it definitely frustrates me.
If we would have been Carolina, we'd be a top 5 team right now.
I think that if Carolina barely beaten Louisville, they should not have gone to 8. I mean,
they did beat us though, so
they did beat us.
They should be over us.
But it was
at this point.
Yeah.
I really wish we played them twice.
Well, we might. We'll see. But I mean, if Bankhart's MO stays true, then nope, we won't see them. So yeah. But here's one other thing too, which I want to kind of laugh at a little bit. Tennessee. I want to talk about them for a second because I've said it like so. This kind of situation stands true for 2 different scenarios I can think of. First of all, again, for those who don't know, but most of you do know, my wife went to South Carolina, so I'm low key a back end South Carolina fan as long as our paths don't cross. But I mean, if our paths ever do cross, since stay all day and twice on Tuesday, no shocker there. But typically our paths don't cross, so it's not really a big issue or like fight in my heart to cheer for both schools. And when they hired Will Muschamp, I immediately said that is a terrible idea. That is a stupid decision. And my wife said, why? I'm like, this guy had everything at Florida and failed, absolutely failed for what he got. Like he absolutely failed. Barely got him in top 25. Was a 7, 8 win max, team. But then you bring him to South Carolina. Like, what do you expect him to do differently that South Carolina gives you that Florida didn't? And you think he's going to do better? That's crazy. Well, Kelly Harper, comes to NC State, gets us in the tournament a couple times, and then, gets fired, goes to, I think, Morgan State and turns them into an NCAA tournament team. And then she gets hired at Tennessee, and they scratch their head over, man, why isn't she doing better? Like, she's getting them in the tournament for sure, getting them in the top 25, but just can't, quite get the job done in terms of, getting SEC championships, getting to Sweet 16s, Elite Eights in the postseason. But now you got Tennessee first year with their new head coach, and right now they're number 11 in the country. And some pretty big wins. Just beat Alabama at home, who was number 18 in the country. Only lost by 5, number 6 LSU. Beat number 5 UConn earlier this year. So I'm just saying, y'all, this is a lesson for all the ADs out there and for all the people listening that are considering being an athletic director, which is do not hire coaches that had just as good, if not better, situations somewhere else and failed, and expect them to do different at your school. I don't know. I don't think that's really that hard of a lesson, but apparently Tennessee needed to learn that lesson, and South Carolina football also too had to learn that lesson, and they're feeling pretty good with Shane Beamer right now. So, but I mean, yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Obviously with Kelly Harper being a former NC State coach, and also too being the fact that it's still hilarious to me that her final game as a Tennessee head coach was in Reynolds Coliseum is even more ironic, to say the least, for sure. So
I do like Tennessee's new coach, though.
Definitely.
I like her a lot.
Yeah, Caldwell's a good coach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean,
maybe on a Monday and was at practice on Friday. That right there just shows you that
that's dedication.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's insane.
Yeah.
So So again, I mean, what does it mean going forward? I mean, I think NC State has proven that on their best day they can compete against anybody in the country.
Oh yeah.
Now, once again, against a team like a UCLA, for example, definitely, concern there for sure. But in a game like that, you're going to need your guards to ball out from the outside, basically. So,
and if Sanaya can just get consistent from the 3, I'd put us up against any team in the country. Easy.
Oh, the commentators even said, if Sanaya could get consistent from 3,
I mean, this team would be unstoppable.
She'd be the number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah,
it's that's literally the only thing that's missing from her game is a consistent 3-point shot.
And she's still going to be a top 10 pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Sanaya and Isaiah are probably going to be top 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Easy.
But I'm just saying that's the only thing keeping her back from being the clear number 1 pick.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, because the Paige Beckers, is she going to the draft this year? I think.
Yeah, she's out of eligibility after this year.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Because she had the COVID year, and then this is her 4th year after that.
But even still, if Sanaya Rivers had, and this is definitely probably a very biased take, I get that for sure. But I mean, if Sanaya Rivers gave you a 3-point shot, I mean, just her drive ability alone to the basket combined with her shutdown defense is such a huge asset to any team, especially a WNBA team.
Yeah.
That's my thing that I think is just I just can't say enough about. But again, yes, her consistency and then her ability to shoot 3. If she could develop those a little bit, she would be deadly, absolutely unstoppable. So but when all is said and done here, it's definitely going to be a fun conversation of, where does Isaiah and Sanaya sit in terms of the all-time greats in NC State women's basketball history. It's definitely going to be a very fun conversation to have for sure.
Yeah, new era for sure. I mean, 3 or 4 years ago, everyone was talking about the 4 with Perez, Kinane, Crutchfield, and Jones, and now it's the backcourt with James and Rivers.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and you still got, a very great complementary player, Madison Hayes, and you still got probably a player that could leave NC State better than both of them potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think that's that bold of a take.
The 4 previously mentioned, they didn't make a Final Four. These players did.
Yeah.
It's a great
They,
point.
they Isaiah won an ACC championship. ACC championships were the forced thing, but this team has their thing. They went to a Final Four.
Well, and the one thing I would say too is the ACC has never been tougher than it has been been this year,
especially when you add Cal and Stanford.
Yeah. No, I mean, and Stanford's not what they were for sure, but still, they're definitely competitive team. But I mean, again, I mean, like let's put it this way: if I can pull the stats real quickly up again, and I was saying this earlier, I think we had 6 or 7 teams in. So I think we had 6 teams in the top 25, and then Cal is right on the outside looking in. I think in the top 25. But even again, I mean, like looking at the ACC, like in terms of like who could we face? I mean, Georgia Tech right now is sitting at the 8th seed, and I mean, I wouldn't feel like overly confident about playing Georgia Tech, and they're the 8th seed, and then Virginia Tech. I mean, so probably the top 8 teams, and then there's probably a little bit of a drop. I mean, Virginia Tech is solid, but I would say I definitely would feel a little less comfortable.
They definitely miss Amor, Kitley, and
definitely
Brooks.
No, 100%. So but yeah,
Amor's killing it at Kentucky. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad we don't have her in ACC anymore. I'm so glad she left.
With all due respect to Georgia Amor, I'm really glad she's not at Virginia Tech.
Exactly.
Oh, 100%.
You can stay in the SEC. We do not want to play against you.
Yeah, no, definitely not. No chance. So yeah. So again, I'm just that's another thing I would say to that point in Carson, especially I would say this Notre Dame team is, I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily say they're better than the Virginia Tech teams of the recent past, just because what you just mentioned her name down, or the 5, the the Canaan duplicate for Virginia Tech.
Kitley.
Yeah, I mean I think in terms of
jersey retired, so
yeah, and I mean and Kitley, beat Canaan, head to head, and so like as crazy as amazing as Canaan was for us, and arguably probably the greatest 5 that NC State has ever seen. Kitley easily is ahead. So, but I mean, Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles, like that, like those two are, and then you still got Chitro. How do you say her name?
Citron.
Citron. Thank you, Citron. On top of it, who, I mean, she's I kind of give her kind of like a Reina Perez equivalent, where she doesn't really get the flowers that she deserves or talked about enough, but she has a significant part in that team's success for sure. I mean, Reina Perez, same thing. She really didn't get talked about too much in terms of, but I mean, like pretty much any big like the steal against Notre Dame to take us to the Elite 8, and then I think 2 different ACC championships she hit.
And Citron played in that game.
That's right. That's a great point. So
I remember on the game, she set the screen and then passed the ball to Mayberry, and then Reina stole it.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So again, y'all, if you haven't got your tickets yet for the ACC Women's Tournament next week, make sure to go and do that for sure. It is going to be some popcorn and soda kind of basketball games you're going to be witnessing Greensboro Coliseum, which I'm telling you, I love the tournament in Greensboro Coliseum. I cannot sing the praises about it enough. It is such a great place for it. Parking is great. The basketball arena is great. It's a great size for whether you're there for women's or men's. Like it's the home and birthplace of the ACC. It's right in the middle of a majority of ACC teams. And guess what? The biggest critic of the ACC tournament being Greensboro is long gone. So just bring it all back to Greensboro Coliseum already. ACC, just do it. Come on. Like, stop playing games. Don't go to Charlotte. Don't go to freaking New York. Don't go to Miami or something. Like, no, just put it in Greensboro. That's where it belongs. Keep it there. So, yeah. And let's kind of end it on this. So Michelle said someone compared Trigger to Kanane today. That's an interesting comparison. So I mean, Ken's. I mean, would you say they're equivalent in terms of gameplay and potential?
Potential, I can see it. I mean, Kunane is a top tier talent. She's easily one of the best players to come through state, easily. Like, she's
Easily.
just different. But I mean,
Mhm.
Trigger, with what she's shown as a freshman on that big of a stage, college game day, like you're playing on that level and getting ACC Freshman of the Week on a college
Mhm.
game day type stage. I mean, I'm not going to say yes yet because I mean she is a freshman, but I feel like if she plays like she did yesterday and continues to and shows more aggression on defense, then I think that definitely she could be in that conversation eventually.
On offense, she plays with the confidence of Kunane.
Yeah, definitely. She'll pull up from 3 and not even think twice about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'll ask. Let me ask you this, Carson. Is there anything like deadlier in women's college basketball than Sanaya Rivers and Tilda Trigger doing a pick and roll? Like, I mean,
No,
like how can you stop that? Yeah,
I don't think
Really
you
can't.
can.
like Tilda can hold back and sit at 3-point line and let Sanaya drive to the basket, and you can either hold back and get on Tilda, or you can try and hold on to
Try to stop
Sanaya.
Samaya, yeah.
Like,
Which probably isn't
good luck
gonna
to you.
Especially with Sanaya's ball handling.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but the biggest thing I think, in my opinion, that like, yes, in terms of potential, Tilda has it, no doubt. The biggest thing I think that Tilda needs to grow in is in terms of physicality, intensity, a little bit, but also to her post game play. She's developed that a
Defense.
little bit, and defense, yeah. But that kind of goes hand in hand with the post play on the offense and the defensive side, but for sure. But again, she's a freshman, got plenty of time for sure to
I mean,
develop it, no doubt.
yeah, these are growing pains. You're gonna have them as a freshman. Every freshman has them, but yeah,
Well,
she
especially. Well,
okay.
especially because there's no pressure on her this season, really. I mean, like, really, there's no pressure.
Like she
Like,
knows that she's that person that's gonna be there. But I feel like definitely after because I mean any freshman usually on a stage like yesterday with that many people watching on a national level, I mean
you
you're
struggle.
you might screw up, but she was on it the entire time.
Yeah.
And so I think she
I mean,
definitely has the potential to be like a Kunane type talent by the time she leaves state.
she could. Yeah,
If
no,
she
absolutely.
stays, hopefully she'll stay.
I'm sure. I'm
Keep her.
sure.
Yeah.
But
After yesterday, I don't think we should fear any of the players
Oh
transferring.
yeah, I think we're safe. Now
No.
men's.
Yeah.
men's buckle your chin straps. So,
I think Paul's staying. Trey probably staying. Dennis, I'm a little bit worried about.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you definitely got to pick and choose. You can't have everything. Definitely got to pick what you want and just hope for the best for the rest. So, and then go get some other pieces somewhere else in the transfer portal. So, but anyway, though, Carson, any final thoughts from you, my man?
Not many at the moment. Oh wait, softball. Softball went undefeated this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep, they're finally clicking.
Yeah, first weekend at home. I worked the doubleheader on Saturday, and so I got to interview Coach Leftwich after the game, and she just said, playing away from home is hard, and so they love the ability to just sue into that home atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then got to give a shout out to my girls at State Gymnastics as well, that just got a 197 over Carolina this weekend. Just absolutely dominated. Literally, I think that was the program's fourth or fifth only score of 197 or better in program history. And to do it this early in the season is incredibly impressive, to say the least. And again, just super impressed with Cam Landris in this program and what they've done, even after losing the GOAT and Emily Shepard, and they're still putting out scores like they are this season. It's incredibly impressive. Can't say enough about them.
Yeah.
So
my friend asked me after the match. She was like, that was fun. I'm like, yeah, we blew them out.
Yeah.
Like if you win in gymnastics by over a point, that's a blowout.
Well, because keep in mind, Carson, as well, is that like I mean, it was really close. Like honestly, the only reason why
Yeah.
like the score shows we blew them out is because they had 3 girls fall off the beam in their final event. But I mean, it was basically tied going into the final event, and
Yeah.
then just UNC just fell apart
Vault
in the
was great.
final
Both
rotation.
were great at vault. Both were great at bars. I mean, it was pretty locked
Both are
even.
pretty good at floor.
Yeah.
But just the biggest thing is UNC just fell apart. Like I mean, literally, that was they were square set to get a high 196 score, and they got a 195.5, which was their second lowest score of the season. Which, I mean, if you looked at the first 3 events for UNC, you would never think that that was going to be the case. But I mean,
Yeah.
they literally got a 48.05 on beam, which I mean, keep in mind, like anything above a 49 is pretty good. Like 48 is like, holy smokes, like you fell apart. Like that's awful, basically. So but yeah, and Michelle saying, and against UNC of all things too. So got to sweep them this season too, which is great. And Chilton even give a shout. Yes, AC Wrestling co-champs. Yes, but obviously, you know, we're gonna look at is that Virginia Tech got the head-to-head winner, at least over us for sure. So yeah, we basically tied UNC and Virginia Tech as co-ACC regular season champions, which is hilarious in a 5-team ACC in wrestling to have 3 teams tie for the championship. So
How many teams are there?
well, there's
State,
Pitt.
Carolina.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. There's 7.
Yeah,
Pitt,
State, Carolina, Duke, Pitt, Virginia
Tech.
Tech, and then Stanford.
Yep.
Yes, that's
So
7.
was that 7? Yeah. So, but still, having 3 teams tie out of a 7-team ACC is pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I take away from it is, I mean, really going into it, I wasn't expecting us to win that one anyway. I mean, Virginia Tech's a very tough place to play in, and also too, Virginia Tech is, has been quietly better than their record and rankings have shown. And and for us, this is definitely an in-between year for sure. Definitely a lot of growing pains and a lot of weight classes, but I mean, there was some bright spots for sure. And Coy Besguin's definitely showed himself to have a bright future for sure. Really going head to head against Caleb Henson, who's won the national championship last year in his weight class, and only lost him, I think, 3-1. I mean, definitely was very impressive. Isaac Trumbull was a little bit nerve wracking, but took care of business. Fishback got a huge win against a guy that he lost the ACC championship to this past season. But I mean, I think with Vince Robinson at 125 getting a loss, that was just a senior beating a freshman, Eddie Ventresca beating a freshman. Like I think that was really the only thing that was the deciding factor for that match was seniority, was just experience over skill. But I think that come tournament time, which is in 2 weeks, that don't be surprised if Vince Robinson gets the rematch against Eddie and gets the AC championship there. But Kai Arini is definitely still just a huge head scratcher, to say the least. Ed Scott, once again, definitely not as much of a head scratcher this season. Definitely has had a better season, but just hasn't been what we hoped he would be 3 years ago when he was a freshman. And basically only lost 1 match the whole regular season. So, yeah. So again, just a lot of potential, and I'm telling you all this, like next season is going to be absolutely insane when you return 3 ACC champions, All-Americans at weight classes, combined with you're going to still have Trumbull, you're going to still have Vince Robinson, you're still going to have Matt Singleton. Like, it's going to be a loaded team next year. Like next year will be preseason, probably top 3 or 4 in the country, more than likely top 3 or 4 in the country preseason. Like, just watch out. It's going to be insane next year. But this season is definitely far furthest from over. Still trying to defend our 6th or 7th straight ACC tournament title. It's going to be at Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I think it's only probably like $15 or something like that for an entire day of wrestling. So make sure to go and check that out. It's well worth the value, to say the least, for sure. So, Carson, any more flowers need to be given out, man, or is that about it?
I think that's about it.
Oh, beautiful. Well, Wolfpack Nation, Michelle, Chilton, Andy, everybody who tuned in, really do appreciate it. As always, it's always great to get on here and talk all things NC State. Got a huge week coming up here once again with women's basketball wrapping up the regular season and hopefully seeing if they can work some magic to get the co-ACC champions for regular season and getting the number 1 seed potentially. We got baseball coming up here tomorrow night. And then you got a weekend series, and then men's basketball got a couple games, got a huge game coming up here Wednesday night against Syracuse. Gymnastics has a meet here this weekend, I believe, against Ohio State. I could be wrong. And then softball keep doing their thing as well. So, but anyway, appreciate you all again tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this, do us a big favor, hit that like button as well. If you listen to us on iHeartRadio or whatever Heart Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. Greatly appreciate that as well. And make sure to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, y'all. But as always, we appreciate y'all. And as always, whew,